All right, folks, welcome back for another exciting 6.5 Creedmoor video. Here recently, we've spent a good amount of time on the 143 grain Hornady ELDX bullet and the 135 grain Berger Classic Hunter. Both of those bullets have shot well. Today, I want to move on to something else, and we're going to look at the 140 grain Hornady SST. Another good option for deer hunting, no doubt about it. I've had pretty good luck with SSTs in other calibers, and the 123 grain SST in my Grendel has always shot reasonably well. So I'm expecting to see some good performance out of this guy. It's a little bit cheaper than the 143 grain ELDX we've been shooting, and certainly cheaper than the Berger. This is a plastic tipped boat tail bullet with a cantilure. Pretty standard stuff. And for powders, I want to try a couple new ones for the Creedmoor as well. Hodgdon Varget. It's a little bit on the fast burning side for 6.5 Creedmoor, so we might not get the smoking fast velocities, but there's low data all over the place for it, and I expect it to shoot really, really well. And if you're just getting into 6.5 Creedmoor and you've been shooting 223 or 308 or any number of other cartridges, I mean, come on, Varget is one of the most popular powders out there. So when you already got it on the shelf, why not give it a try? That's kind of the plan for today, is to try some Varget. The other is Hodgdon Superformance. This is a new powder to me. I just picked it up for 6.5 Creedmoor. And in the Hornady manual, they show some pretty impressive velocities with this stuff. This is a ball powder, so I'm thinking this is going to be the first ball powder we've tried so far in the Creedmoor. So we'll see how it goes. For brass, we're continuing to work out of our same batch of 100 pieces of Starline small primer brass. This is the third firing on this stuff, and it's been doing really well. But the last couple of videos, I've had some weird round counts. I generally shoot 50 in one video, 50 in the next video, resize it all, and then kind of start the process over. But the last couple of videos, we've been shooting weird numbers of rounds. So I've got 40 pieces left. So that's what we're going to shoot in this video, is 40 shots. That'll finish out our third firing on this brass, and then we'll be ready to re-prep it all, which I'll probably cover in the next video. But that brass has been working very well for us, and we've shot exclusively CCI 450 primers so far. We've been getting very consistent, good velocities with most of the powders we've been trying, so I'm happy so far with the CCI 450. We're going to stick with that today. The actual load data is going to be straight out of the Hornady manual today. This bullet is a good bit shorter than like the big long 143 ELDX we've been shooting, plus it has a cantilure. So they show an overall length of 2.690 inches. So that's a bit, a good bit shorter than what we've been shooting in other stuff. But I looked back at the notes from video 1. It looks like we'll be jumping about 200 thousandths to get to the rifling. So, a good bit of jump, but that's where the cantilure's at. What are you gonna do? It's certainly not a rule. You don't have to line up the cantilure with the case mouth, but it sure does look a whole lot better when you do. So we're gonna stick with their recommended overall length and just see how it shoots here in the first video. If these shoot like garbage, then we can get cute. We can try some other overall lengths, but we'll keep it simple here in the first video. Charge weights. So with Hodgdon Varget, they show a max charge of 36.4 grains. If we go over to the Hodgdon website, they do have data for the 140 grain A max, but they shoot an overall length of 2.820. So kind of close, but then again, kind of not close. Hornady shows a max charge of 36.4. They show a max charge of 35.8. So I want to stay just under Hornady's max and shoot up to 36.0 grains. And we'll do half grain increments. So since we're only taking 40 shots, that'll be 20 shots with Varget. So 34.5 up to 36.0 will be our charge weight range. Now on the Hodgdon Superformance side of things, they show a max charge of 44.7 grains. And I don't really have a second opinion on this one. And Hodgdon doesn't list data for Superformance on their website in their load data. So let's stay just under their, let's stay a decent amount under their max. So they show 44.7 as being max. Let's shoot up to 44.0. First time using this powder, don't really know what to expect. So let's take it easy. Let's stay a good bit under max. And let's shoot very large steps. Let's shoot 1 grain increments. So we'll start at 41, go up to 44. We'll have to be very careful on those first shots with each group to make sure to have a good look at that brass. But, hopefully we don't blow our face off. I think we'll be okay. So this batch of brass is fully prepped and ready to go. So I'm just going to take it straight out of its ammo box, put a primer in it, and we're ready for powder. Like I mentioned earlier, this is my first loading with Superformance. It looks like any other ball powder. Nothing really special about it. It meters and measures and all of that stuff nice and easy. Our top charge of 44 grains, it's a reasonably full case, but I don't think it's going to be compressed at all. I've heard mixed reports about this stuff. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how it performs as far as accuracy goes. All right, let's see some bullets. Okay, first things first, we need to settle on a seating stem. So we've got our three options, right? Two came with the custom grade New Dimensions Hornady die set, and then the third one I had purchased separately. Just put them down in here and see which one seems to fit the best. Looks like this third one here gives us the least amount of wiggle, which should mean the most contact between the bullet and the seating stem. Should be able to just get close to the cantilever before we pull out the calipers. .707. Go ahead and seat a second one. 2.708. So let me go ahead and go down 17 thousandths. Okay, our first five here, 2.691. 2.690, 2.691, 2.690, and 2.690. So beautiful, very consistent numbers. That's what the alignment looks like with the cantilever. Oh man, that's a thing of beauty right there. All right, we're looking good. I was considering going ahead and maybe crimping these guys. This bullet seating die does have a crimp, but this style of crimp requires that your cases be exactly the same length. If you've got varying case lengths, you'll get varying levels of crimp. And this Starline brass, it came kind of short, so we haven't had to crimp it yet. So our lengths are still a little bit all over the place. Although not really. I mean, they were pretty consistent, but there's still, you know, several thousandths of variation here in our brass length. So once we resize this brass one more time and get ready for our fourth firing, I think it'll be long enough to where we can trim it all. And once we've got it all a very consistent length, we'll cover crimping with the die in, you know, one of the next couple videos we do. Now our max charge of Varget is only 36 grains of powder. So lots and lots of case capacity left over here. Varget is just, it's too fast of a powder to be able to shoot a full case here in 6.5 Creedmoor. Now our max charge is Superformance. I can definitely still feel some powder movement, so we're not compressed at all, but the case is a little fuller than we saw with Varget. So that's pretty much it, folks. Let's get out on the range. All right, folks, it is time to rock and roll. We got a target at 100 yards today. We're shooting at 3/4 inch dots. We're still using the 4-12 by 44 Vortex Crossfire 2 scope. I think this is probably going to be the last video with this guy. I'm going to get some 30mm rings and probably put one of my 4-16 Vortex Viper scopes on here just to get a little bit more magnification from this point forward. I think we've proven the point. This little Crossfire 2 has been a great scope for us, but a little more magnification will do us well here shooting groups on the channel. This is a Thompson Center compass, 22-inch barrel, 1 1/8 twist, and we're going to be starting out with Hodgdon Varget. Our first charge is 34.5 grains. Let's see if it'll shoot. Tell you what, that's a really good start with the SST I didn't bring out my spotting scope, so maybe I'm missing one that's out, but it was at one high in the green and then 4 of them at about 4 o'clock outside. Looking pretty good. Our brass looks just fine, but I would be shocked if we found otherwise at 2,387 feet per second. So moving right along, next up is 35.0 grains. All right, so our group opened up a little bit there. 2412 with a 15.6 feet per second standard deviation. I was hoping for some better standard deviations out of Varget here. But moving right along, 35.5 grains is next. All right, that group didn't look too bad. Up to 2448 with an 11.7 feet per second standard deviation. Okay, last up with Varget is 36.0 grains. The brass still looks great. All right, those groups aren't half bad. Not half bad at all. I could have done with a little bit better standard deviation from Varget here, but not bad. All right, I'm going to give the barrel a few extra minutes to cool down. The barrel's really staying really nice and cool. It's mainly the suppressor that gets warmed up on me. Starts giving me a little bit of mirage. So a few minutes to cool down and then we'll get back to it with Superformance. Okay, I'm ready if you are. First load here with Superformance is 41.0 grains. Okay, 42.0. Okay, so I really don't understand this. We jumped up an entire grain of powder from 41 to 42, and we only gained 7 feet per second? That doesn't make any sense at all. I don't know, maybe I screwed up while I was loading, while I was weighing out my charges? I don't know, man, that's weird. Next up is 43.0. This has got me a little bit freaked out. That was 25.18, so a little bit of a bump there. But we don't seem to be gaining velocity quickly. Brass still looks great. All right, very interesting. We did get a 50 feet per second bump. Standard deviation went all the way down to 4.2, which is awesome. Kind of weird. Okay, last up is 44.0 grains. Okay, that first shot was 2,612 feet per second. I don't see any signs of pressure. All right, so we made it up to 25.97. Good deal. Groups don't look too bad from here. I'm interested to see how they measure out. So let's get back to the bench. All right, let's start with a quick look at the brass. These first 4 rows here are the Varget rounds, and they look absolutely fantastic. Let's grab a couple of the top charge. Really nothing to see here. Just looking fantastic. Nice round primers. A little bit of the primer cratering that we've come to expect with our small primer brass in our Thompson center compass. It's not a problem at all. So absolutely nothing to see. And the story is exactly the same over here with our 4 rows of Superformance brass. Just good looking stuff. No problems whatsoever. All right, so our SST has done pretty well for itself. Let's have a look at the groups. Let's start with Varget. Our best group of the day was the highest charge, 36 grains, got us a 0.617 inch group. Very good stuff. We made it up to 2,472 feet per second. I double checked the manual. We're lagging behind what they predicted by about 100 feet per second, which makes sense. We've seen that a lot with our 22-inch barrel. Most of the data you find out there is going to be for a 24-inch barrel. The factory ammo we tested, the velocity on the box, we were lagging behind it about 100 feet per second, so we were about where I expected to be as far as velocity. What I didn't expect were the poor standard deviations. I thought Varget might really show us some good standard deviations. They weren't terrible. You know, in the teens isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's not great. And the way I look at a powder like Varget, where we already know we're giving up a couple 100 feet per second from some of the powders that are, really optimized or optimum for this cartridge. So it needs to blow me away somehow, right? It needs to be insanely accurate or insanely consistent with velocities. Otherwise, I have no reason to take that handicap of, a couple 100 feet per second. I might as well just shoot one of the powders that'll give me more velocity, right? Now, maybe you're sitting on a 55-gallon drum of Varget and need to get rid of it. That's another story. I mean, it works great. Nothing wrong with it. It just didn't really blow my skirt up here. So let's move on to Superformance. Groups that are kind of sort of similar, right? A little over an inch. We did have the one group there at 42 grains that was 0.787 inches. So we got two groups today under an inch. That's not terrible. I mean, it doesn't seem like this bullet is probably shooting as well as we've seen with the ELDX or the Burger, but this is cheaper than those bullets. It's a whole lot cheaper than the Burger, and even over the ELDX, you're saving $5, $6, $7 a box by going with the SST. So it's certainly not a bad shooting bullet at all. I mean, and going into this, you never really know. Now, a first impression here with Superformance, I'm pretty pleased with this. The standard deviation numbers weren't good. I mean, it had that one that was 4.2, which is excellent, but the others weren't terrible, and the groups weren't bad. If this powder can hang with Varget as far as group size, that's a very good sign. And I guess I went into this pessimistic. I've seen poor reports about Superformance, so I was afraid this might be ugly. We might be shooting 2-inch groups or something. But I'm happy to be wrong about that. Now I want to take this powder and try it out with the ELDX, which we've already shown to be a pretty good shooting bullet in this gun. Because the Hornady manual shows some good velocities with this powder. I think they might be stretching the truth a little bit. Well, I mean, like here, where we talked about Varget, we were about 100 feet per second behind. Here with Superformance, we were about 150 feet per second behind what they predicted. So I don't know, maybe they fudged the numbers since they've got their name on the bottle. I don't know. It'll take more testing to find out. But these numbers are pretty good. We made it up to 2,600 feet per second. We didn't see any pressure signs. We were like, 0.7 grains below Hornady's max even. So we've got room to move up. So I'm looking forward to a whole lot more tests with Superformance. No doubt about it. So I think that pretty much covers it. All of our brass has been fired now. So we're ready to start on firing number 4 with our Starline brass. Still nothing to complain about. It seems to be holding up pretty well. Shooting pretty well. I'm not sure where we'll go next here with the Creedmoor. When we started this series, I said I wanted to really explore several hunting bullets, and that I've kind of stuck to that. But I've got the 142 grain Match King. I've got the 147 grain ELD Match. I've got the 140 grain Nosler RDF. And so these match bullets are starting to call my name. I don't know if we'll jump that direction here in the next video, but maybe, I don't know. It's coming soon. I'm getting that urge. I want to see how some of the match bullets will do out of the compass. And like I mentioned on the range, I want to go ahead and get a higher power scope on there before the next video as well. So yeah, I don't know. I'll think things over, figure out which way to go. So I think that does it for today. If you want to help support my channel, you can come to patreon.com/reloading. You can also click on my affiliate links down in the description. If you're shopping at Brownells or Natchez Shooter Supplies or Amazon.com or Optics Planet, if you click on my link to get you there, they'll give me a little referral fee when you make a purchase, and it adds up quick. So I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time.